Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode 10 of the Dream Podcast. And yeah, okay, I have so much to share. But first of all, let's start with a few breaths because I feel like we could all use some breaths to like center and stuff. So, okay, here we go. Ready? One, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Okay. So, hi Mark, how are you doing today? All right, so I've got a lot of things to share, like I said, and I thought I would start by saying that I do feel like lately I've been getting a lot of messages. If we're doing like energy check-in, a lot of messages about really being truly honest with what we want and who we are. So I do have an announcement to make towards the end about what I'm going to be doing after this episode. But yeah, first I want to start by saying that there have been some unexpected events in my life lately, and I do want to share that because I feel like it's just so magical how everything has been coming together lately. And it has to do with journaling, with dream incubation, with a lot of stuff that I've been practicing. So, what happened was, what was it, on January? Sorry, I was like, oh my gosh, I always get mixed up with the dates. Okay, this is my thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, even in my other podcasts, I always mix up the months, the days. I said April last week. I don't know. It's like when you're not living in time, you just don't really you just don't really remember what day it is. So I have to always look at my phone or at the computer to see what day it is. It's just really funny. And ever since I've been living more in the present moment, I feel like that's been happening more often. So, it's not that I'm losing, my mind or anything. But anyway, so it was July 9th. I was participating in this dream workshop. And so the person that was facilitating this dream workshop was Machiel Leclerc. And if you guys want to check him out, he has a really good book on dream incubation and just has really good advice on how you can ask questions to solicit a response from your dreams if you want some guidance. So I thought that was really interesting, and I've been trying it for the past month or so. Just every night, I think about a question or something that I want to ask my dreams, and I have been getting really significant responses. And what's really funny is that even during the daytime, I feel like I've been getting things that happen that are linked to what I had in the night before, or just things that I asked during the day. And this is what I'm going to say right here is it just proves how the dream world and this waking reality are completely interrelated. So what happened was we were on this I guess this meditation journey with Machiel, and he said, okay, so now ask yourself, because this is always a relationship with yourself. For me, I don't like seeing dreams or anything else that you ask as something external, as long as you know that it's something that's within you and that you're asking yourself. You don't give your power away to quote unquote an external source. So he was like, so okay, what would you like to ask your dream? And he's like, think about what is the real question, because apparently there's always some underlying question. And I figured out that I did have some things that I wanted to ask that I wasn't really asking, because it's more like maybe in our subconscious mind or things that we don't want to look at. So I was thinking, yeah, I'm going to ask about my life path. And I've been asking a lot of questions about that. Like, what am I going to do for my career and for things I want to offer to the world? And as I was thinking, this other voice came in saying, something like, it's like saying you don't want to ask that question, and the real question is, how can I be happier? Like, how can I actually be happy, or something like that? It's something along the lines of like, uh, that I haven't really been fully happy my entire life. And I was like, wow, that really hit home, you know? It's like, oh my gosh, that's so true. I'm always like doing my best to stay positive and, just being there for other people. But how about myself, right? And how can I be really happy with myself? So that question came in like within this other aspect of myself, saying, how can I really be happy? And I cried. Like, I was like, I had to turn off my camera. I was like, oh my God, that's like, that is so relevant. Like, what can I do for myself? And I have been saying in these past episodes how I have been getting so many dreams about my family, my sisters, everything in relationship to my family. And somebody, my dear friend Claudette, even told me, "Hey, how's your family doing? Have you like talked to them?" I haven't talked to my family in a while, for years actually. And I was like, "No, I just don't feel like it's the right moment." We kind of decided, well, I decided that it was time for me to take space. And so right after that moment, it took me a while to kind of just process the emotions, because that's what we have to do. When these emotions come in, a lot of times we say, oh, I don't want to feel that. That's not good. It doesn't feel good. But we've got to let them flow. These emotions are coming to you because they feel comfortable at flowing through you, and they need to be processed. And you don't have to block them. You just have to let them in, and the more that you resist, the more they stay. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stay here and let these emotions flow. And after a while, I was okay. And then I participated a little more in the talk and the conference, and I even told the speaker about what I was feeling and everything. And he's like, yeah, I did feel that, when you were saying this, like, yeah, there's a lot of like emotion behind that. I'm like, yeah. So after that ended, I was just sitting there and listening to music, and I was like, yeah, that was really intense. And all of a sudden, my bell rang. And so this is really important, because I usually don't answer the bell, because it's usually people that are coming to sell me things, or just people that, have forgotten their key and are just like ringing bells to see who opens the door. And it's like, oh my gosh. I usually don't answer the bell. And this time I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go see who it is. And I was just curious for some reason. I went, and we have this like what's called interphone, or whatever you call it, where it shows who the person is downstairs. And I saw my sister's face, my younger sister. And I was like, okay, I'm dreaming or something, or maybe it's someone who looks like my sister. And I was like, okay, I was like, hello. I was like, who is it? She's like, hola, soy yo, in Spanish, because my sister speaks Spanish. Well, all my family's from Mexico, so it's like, I thought she was in Mexico, and she's not. She was here, right downstairs in front of my door. I was like, no. It's like, no. It's just, this is incredible. I was like, okay, I walked out, and I was like already crying even before she came upstairs and all. I was like, wow. And I was like, that just, it's just amazing, because that obviously was part of how I can be more happy, is like, build that relationship with your family, like, start talking to your family again, especially your sister, who has been wanting to talk to you for the longest time. So I was just like blown away. And wow, even now I'm like, just talking about it makes me so emotional, because it's just like, wow, I didn't even have to go to sleep and think about the question. This, like, boom, the things happen like in the instant moment of how I could improve my life, and how I could move forward, and resolve all those things that were happening in my dreams with this, family subject. So yeah, we talked, and about so many things, and it was just so nice to see her. I hadn't seen her since, I think, like 2019 or something. And can you imagine how long? And even with my family, I hadn't talked to them for the longest time. And so she's like, yeah, we miss you. And I'm like, yeah, of course I miss you guys too, but it's complicated. And like we have completely different ideas of how this reality works and everything. She's like, yeah, but we don't have to have the same ideas to get along. And I'm like, yeah, she's like the glue of the family though, my little sister. She's like always there to help everyone get along. There's always that person in the family who's like, I want everybody to get along. So that's her. And it was really nice to see her. And yeah, so I spent the weekend with her, and then she left like a couple of days ago, but she lives in Spain now, so she's really close. And I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea that she was coming to France or anything. She just showed up at my door. So there you go. That's like, for me, that's just a perfect example of how this life is just so magical, because I had literally asked the universe. I said, I see all these dreams. I'm acknowledging them. I don't feel like doing anything on my behalf. I don't feel like I have to say anything. I've said all I want to my family. I've said what I feel. I don't feel like I want to do anything else. So if I get the opportunity to connect again, then I will. If I don't, then I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to keep working on myself. And I know that the more I do that, the more it reflects on other relationships, right? Even with my family. So that's what I had, proposed to the universe. It's like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. Help me out. If there's something that I need to do besides that, I know I'll get the chance. So there we go. I got the chance, and it was that moment when that question shifted to what was really going on in my mind. Things that are kind of hidden in our subconscious that we don't want to deal with, that are just like, okay, well, I'll leave that for later, but actually it's more important. So, and I've had this happen 2 times during the week where I ask a certain question, and this is called dream incubation. For those of you interested in trying it, you write a question in your journal, and it's very cool to have a journal, because I find that more powerful than writing things down just on a note or on your phone, because it shows the dream world, which is really just another aspect of you. I always like to emphasize it's not something external that you're going to go and ask advice for. It's still a part of you, and the dream world is just a parallel reality that you are living in. And you ask, what is it that I can do, for example, to either to love myself better, or what is it that I'm maybe missing in my life in order to align with my higher purpose. But the questions really have to be well formulated. And sometimes what happens, and I find this really cool, is that when you actually cultivate that relationship, sometimes the question will be shifted for you, even right before you go to sleep. And I had this happen like a couple days ago, because I've also had this situation that I keep thinking about, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to ask about this, but because I know the answer, but yeah, maybe just help me get over it, right? Like, okay, dream, how can I get over this situation? And it was interesting, because the dream kind of, or this kind of voice comes in, and it shifted the question to, how can I love myself better? And I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, I haven't been really loving myself enough. If I'm still attached to this situation or this person or whatever, there's still something in me that I need to work on, because I'm still not loving myself enough to let go of that. Right? So I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, maybe I'll ask that next time. And I got a series of dreams that were like related to the question too. It's like, it was really interesting. I'm like, yeah, I have to let that situation go. There's still a part of me that's holding on. It's like because logically, sometimes what happens is that logically we're thinking, oh yeah, that isn't good for me. I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm making this decision to move on. But there's still a little part of us that's like clinging on, like, no, I want this to work. It's like, no, don't let it go. So I saw that in my dreams. It's like, yeah, there's still a part of you that wants this to work out. And if you do that, and it's funny because the dream showed me, if you do that, this is what's going to happen. it's like I didn't even want to think about it. I was like, but I knew that in the back of my mind, that was what I was thinking about the whole time. So what happened was that that dream showed me, if you don't let go of the situation, this is what it's gonna look like. Let's say if you guys end up together in the now moment. And when I say this, it's like, okay, in the now, it might change later on, and I know this is a part of me that's saying, oh, maybe it's gonna work later, but it's true. It's like things can change, and I'm not just talking about relationships. Even if it's, let's say, a job or whatnot, like, or a situation with a family member, etc. The dream will always show you what the outcome may be based on what's happening now. Okay, so the dreams are always what's happening now. And it just showed me how it would look like, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, that doesn't look good at all. So I was like kind of sad when I woke up, but I'm like, no, that's okay. I understand. I really have to let it go, and I'm just gonna keep working on it. You gotta keep building, let's say, that muscle. It's like, it's okay, like let the feelings flow, but let it go. If it doesn't flow, let it go, you know? So I keep thinking about it that way. It's like, okay, the dream showed me what it would look like, and I don't like that, right? And we also tend to absorb other people's feelings and take them on as our own. I do that a lot. It's like the feelings of the other person. I kind of like, if let's say a person misses you or is attracted to you, and you take those feelings as your own, sometimes you're feeling that, and it's like, but logically you're like, why do I even miss this person? Like, they're not for me. Like, they've showed me many, many times that they're not in that place, like, to give me what I want in a relationship, for example. Or that, for example, that job is not for me. I've seen so many times that I can't work in an office, for example, right? Like, for me, it's like, every time I've done that 9 to 5 jobs, it just don't work anymore. But and there's always this part of you, it's like, yeah, I get a job, or do this, do that. But I'm like, no, at this point in my life, I'm like, okay, I'm really going to follow what is really just is matching my frequency. Otherwise, it's just not for me. So yeah. And wow, that was just such a powerful week last week, because there were also some interesting alignments with the astrals, and like, yeah, like, what I saw later that I didn't see before, because I wasn't even thinking about that in the moment, was that there was the moon transitioning through, I think, was it Libra and Scorpio or something, which for myself and my personal chart were representing energies of like past karma, and like relationships, and the metaphysical and all that stuff. And I'm like, wow, it's like, that makes so much sense. And I saw it later. Claudette told me, she's like, oh, that makes so much sense that happens right now. Like, look at what's happening in your sky and all. I'm like, wow, that is so cool. So there you go. I was like, wow, okay. So everything just started aligning left and right, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is, you can't make this stuff up. It's like you're you're thinking, when you try to think logically about things, it's difficult, because I was very logical before. I used to be more like based on, okay, what's the science behind this, and based on my upbringing. But now that I've seen the magic of how things can happen like this, even before you know them, it's not like you're expecting something. It's just afterwards you learn about what happened, and like in the sky, or or like, oh, why did I even ask that question? And I was like, that's interesting. And when I was thinking about it, then all of a sudden my sister rang the bell. I was like, what? Because I have decided since a while back that I am aligning with whatever is aligned with my highest good. And yeah, so and just really paying attention to the signs, and being open to whatever the universe wants to throw at me. Really, it's just like, be it something nice or not nice, perceived by my personal I guess my senses, because we all perceive things differently, right? One person might perceive a situation as positive, and another person is going to perceive the same situation as negative, because we all have our own holographic projection going on. And yeah, so that's, it's just so interesting how how we perceived reality in different ways. Because, maybe another person might not have even answered the bell, or maybe someone would have said, oh, that's my sister. I don't want to know anything about her. I don't love my family anymore. It's like everybody's going to act differently. But how you react to all those situations will depend on what timeline you're aligning with. And what I believe is that we are all creating multiple timelines of reality. Every time we make a decision, there are timelines that we're hopping onto. And so there's this idea of like there's this infinite eye, or someone calls it infinite eye. I don't want to call it that, but other people had call it the what's it called, the higher aspects, or like what's the other word, higher self. Yeah, I don't resonate too much with those terms. Yeah, I guess I'm like kind of in between. I don't want to say like there's something out there that seems separate from me. It's more like we're kind of just it's just myself living in another reality, in another dimension, that's in a future version, but it's still myself. So I like to see it more that way, that I'm communicating with other aspects that are in future timelines and in past timelines, because everything is happening at once anyways. So yeah, and that's the way I like to see it. So what was I getting at with this? I forget what I was gonna say about that specific idea, but yeah, in any case, that's what I think, right? It's like we have access to all the information all the time, past and future timelines. So we're creating all these timelines, right? And it's like some people might say we don't have free will. Everything is already scripted. I don't believe that personally. I think maybe there's like a general script of things that you might want to do, but it was created by yourself. Let's say I want to go to this other reality, right? From here. Let's say I'm here and I want to go to another reality. I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to divide myself up and go and experiment in this other world. But I want to work on, I don't know, dream work like, I'm doing right now. And it has to be that. If not, I don't want to go. So you kind of decide that before you go. But that's still you. It's not some, other infinite eye or something outside of you that's deciding what you want to do here. And then you don't have free will. For me, that's not what it is. And plus, I do think that we have the capability of deciding to override certain things, even from this reality, or we hop on different timelines and we create timelines. That's, for me, I do think that we have the capability of creating different timelines from where we're at, because some people might say we don't have that. It's like, oh, it's the infinite eye that's creating everything. You don't decide. If they haven't decided that you want to do that, then you can't. I'm like, no, that, for me, that doesn't make sense. So it depends on what you want to align with, but I'm just like, because I felt it that way, just the way I feel from inside is that I have shifted certain things that I feel that were probably even scripted or decided for, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that, and I just hop onto another timeline. I'm like, okay, or I create another timeline. I'm like, okay, I want to do this now. And it's like, okay, you want to experiment that's cool, because we're all giving information to this. For me, it's like this source that we all come from, and we send information to the source. So why wouldn't source want to experiment as much as it can, right? Why would it limit you to like just doing a certain thing? So that doesn't make any sense for me, at least. And like, okay, well, everybody's going to believe what they want. But for me, it's like we have all these possibilities of aligning to our highest possible outcome, but we can do many different things at the same time, even if it's not exactly the same thing, right? So anyway, that's the whole a story of like what I think about the timelines and stuff, and how I think we're like timeline jumping and everything. But yeah, that was the story of the week. Yeah, and that's why I wasn't here last week, by the way, in case anybody missed me. I was like, no, I can't do this today. I had to spend time with my sister because she was only here for like 2 or 3 days. And yeah, so I'm gonna go visit her probably during the summer. Well, it's already summer, but during August. And yeah, it's gonna be nice. It started something. Like I told her to say hi to my mom and dad, and it's gonna start something. I'm not gonna go and just talk to everyone at once. But yeah, I think it's nice that I'm finally dealing with these things that have been showing up in my dreams, because they've been screaming really loud. I mean, even last night I had a dream with my parents again. So I'm like, okay, what else do you guys want? you know but yeah, there's a lot of family things to deal with on my side. And so I'm just wondering, what kind of dreams have you guys had? Like, you can identify the trends and see what things are really screaming at you to deal with, because there are trends, even if it's just something insignificant that seems insignificant, because there are never insignificant dreams ever. So you got to really pay attention to what is reoccurring, and write down the what's it called, the keywords. Yes, exactly. So yeah, that's what I've been doing lately. And it's been interesting. Sometimes I'm still not getting certain things, and sometimes things don't make sense until years or months later. I've been getting a lot of like things at 12 o'clock, or a lot of trains and metros and things like that. I'm like, okay, there might be like a trip or something. I don't know. Like, let's see what happens, right? And yeah, and so okay, so now let's go on to what I wanted to say next, because this is really important. And yeah, I want to be really honest, because in terms of this application, Fireside, I haven't been really feeling really motivated about it. Like, it's like every time I jump on it, it's like, I don't know, there's just something about it. Then I'm like, I like it, like the videos that, the what's it called, that it gives you to post and on other platforms and everything. But at the same time, I just don't feel like, I don't know, like I don't belong here or something. And I was just thinking, it's time to practice what you preach, I said to myself, because I've always been telling people, like, if you don't like it, don't do it. If you don't feel nice, like, or good, nice. If you don't feel good when you're going in to do something, or when you're going to meet someone, that means it's not for you. And yeah, honestly, this is how I feel about this app. And I've been trying to bring people in, and some people from my tribe have been in here, and I feel like they don't like it either, because if not, they would be here today. So I'm like, no, I don't feel good. I feel like maybe other people are watching from other browsers that I don't even know if they're watching, and I'm just like, who is watching, who's not watching, I don't know. And if you want to join me, I'll be doing other lives on YouTube and stuff. But I think I'm going to go back to doing my recordings on Anchor. And it's available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and there's other like major platforms too. But yeah, just last time that I was editing the video too, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many glitches, and it's like the video doesn't even look good. So I was like thinking, well, I can't even use my mic, because I have a professional mic for podcasting, but since I'm on my phone, since I don't have an iPad, this app is only available for Macs and stuff. I'm like, well, I can't even use it on my computer. So I'm like, so I'm like, okay, I think it's time to stop settling for less. We always do that. I'm like, I'm even doing this for this app. And we do this for relationships as well. It's like, oh, I found this is good, this is nice. And it's like, I guess I can do with that. And I was like, no, okay, this has gotta stop. I'm done settling for less. Yeah, I'm being really, like, just really honest. Like, I'm done settling for less. And if this app is not giving me what I feel like I want for my public, and then for people I want to invite here, and if I don't feel comfortable with the people that are here in the community and everything, why do I have to stay here? Like, what sense does it make, right? Like I said, we have to be really honest with ourselves, and it really just, when something doesn't feel right, you gotta say it, and you've got to move on to something else that feels better. Otherwise, you're just giving mixed signals to the universe, saying, oh, this is okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, I that actually feels really good to get off my chest. You know, it's like when you break up with someone and you're just like, you know what, I really like you, but it's not working anymore. That is how it feels right now. So thank you so much, Fireside, and all the people watching the replay and whatnot. But I'm going back to Anchor and recording my episodes from just the comfort of my home and not worrying about who's watching, who's not, and the quality of the sound and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, this hasn't really added value to my journey. That's why. When something doesn't add value to your journey, why are you still there? You know? Yeah, you've really got to be honest. Like I said, we've got to be honest first with ourselves. That's the first step. What do we really want, right? If this is not working, say it, right? So that's what I wanted to say. I'm moving on to, or yeah, changing apps again. So for anyone who wants to listen to the Dream podcast, it's going to keep happening, and I'll continue delivering messages. And I'm still on Instagram, and we'll see what other apps come up, right? We're testing, right? That's what's important, is to test things, because some people are afraid to test and see what's out there. I know a lot of people like to stay stable and just go on with the same thing over and over again, but for me, I like to go out and just be like, okay, this is presenting itself, I'm gonna go for it. And then after a while, if it doesn't feel right, hey, at least you're honest and you're saying what you want, and that doesn't work. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about that. I think that's good. You know, just don't want to overdo it with the whole like, do what you feel is right for you. So anyway, so all right. I'm gonna end it now, but I hope to see you again soon. Bye.